Okay, thank you so much for joining the class. Thank you. My name is Ezekiel. I lead this company called Lim Simple. We'll talk about that a little later, but just wanted to give you like a background of this class. So this class is the introductory module for the Strategy Factory Workshop. The Strategy Factory Workshop is a monthly workshop that we hold here at the Lagos Marriott Hotel, where I currently am at the moment. And so this class is, so what we do is that we give out the first module, just the first module. It's a 10 module class. We give out just the first module for free so that people can see, experience the class and possibly decide whether they're going to come or not. So, you know, whether you come eventually or you don't, this first module is there. I mean, it's very impactful. Hopefully you see that by the end of the class, you know, but it's no strings attached. Well, some strings attached. We are hoping that you'd come to the main class. But if you don't come, it's okay, you know, but hopefully we hope that this class will give you an opportunity to understand what it would be like to be in the main class. So like I said, I run this company called Lim Simple. Please, as you're coming in, I'd really appreciate if you could help us with your name and what you do. Just go to the chat box and help us write your name and what you do, so that it helps me to. I want to use some of our businesses as instances, which will bring a bit more value to you. I'm using an earpiece. I'm hoping you can hear all the noise around, you know, and the like. So I lead a company called Lim Simple. It means life, investing, money, and business Lim Simple. And then we own, the company owns the, what do you call it? The Business Academy, where, you know, we house a lot of our trainings. We've had the opportunity of working with quite a number of businesses. Some of them are on your screen at the moment. And we've also worked with about 2,400 entrepreneurs, about 3,000 entrepreneurs right now, actually. And we have about 32 of our clients that do over $1 billion a year, right? Oh, yes, it is. Mr. Olatunji, this program is recorded. This program is recorded. So the recorded version will be available afterwards. So we have about 32 of our clients that do over $1 billion a year. I'm also a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, which is an elite council for business coaches around the world. Maybe even the most elite council of business coaches around the world, you know. So it's a privilege to be a part of them, I'll be honest, you know. So I mean, I wouldn't say that, you know, I probably have earned my way in, but, you know, again, the reality is that, you know, a lot more people have earned their way in and are not in. So let's get to class. So I always like to start my session with every single place that I go. I like to start my session with this question: what do you really want? All right? What do you really want? And the reason why this question is important is that oftentimes when we are young, we think about our lives based on what we want. You know, so you ask a young chap who is in secondary school or, you know, thereabouts, you know, what kind of car do you want to drive? So he says a Maserati, a Bugatti, a McLaren. You know, the best car that he knows is what he would call, or is what she would call. And then you give him or her good advice, you know, to get this kind of car, you need to go to good school, you need to, you know, get the best results, you need to get a good job. And so they do all of that. And, you know, they then get, you know, they get a good job. Now they're earning, you know, pretty handsomely, maybe 1, 2, 3 million a month. And so they go online and then they check how much the car really is now. And the Bugatti is $3.2 million, right? It doesn't hit home until, you know, they convert it to Naira. And now 1.7 billion Naira. And so they're like, 1.7 billion Naira. Okay. You know, the purpose of a car is to move from point A to point B. So Toyota is not that bad, right? So what happens is that we start to downgrade our dreams from what we really want to what we think we can get, right? And so, but why I like to get people focused on that is because oftentimes we're not so far away, right, we're not so far away from what we really want. In fact, I have seen one of the clients that I've worked with built a successful business where they were homeless between 2009 and 2012. Started a business in 2012. The business did over 100 billion naira last year. It's crazy how much progress we can make if we just keep going, right? So what I want to do right now is to sort of remind some of us of what we want, and then we can then, start the conversation as to how we can then help you get there. Sorry, I just need to confirm again. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, I'd like you to say yes, I can, just so that I know that you can hear me. So I'm sure that I'm not talking to myself. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Vivian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Just need to be sure.
There's a noise in the background. There's a noise in the background.
There's quite some noise. There's a baby crying here. I'm at the lobby. And unfortunately, I can't do much about that, except if I leave this place, and I can't live here at the moment. I'm sorry. I should do something about this child. Okay, great. So in trying to remind us of small things that we want, some people, when we ask people what they really want out of life, why they want to be, why they want to make a lot of money, some people say they want to be financially free. And the reality is that we all know what that means. Even if some of us can't calculate it, being financially free is to not have to worry about money again, right? How many of us here would like to be free financially? Just go to the comment section and type yes. Yes, or me. This will type yes at some point. How many of us want to be free, financially free? You want to do what you want, when you want, how you want, and not have to worry about money and another day of your life, right? Right? Go and type yes. Just imagine that God is saying something, or your pastor just prayed, and you're about to say amen, right? How many of us Nigerians like prayer, So everybody want to be financially free. Some people want to be free financially. Some people want to make a lot of money because they want to be benevolent. They want to give to society. Give a lot more. They want to help a lot more people. They want to provide a lot more service. Free service to a lot of people. Some people want to make a lot of money because they want peace of mind. They don't want to change the world, but they just want to know that they are fine regardless of what happens, right? Some people want to make a lot of money because they want to build assets. Right? They want to build assets. They want to own assets. They want to be able to, they want to be able to have assets, cash flowing assets, cash flow producing assets rather. Some people want to make a lot of money because they want good health. And by the way, good health is not cheap, right? Everybody knows that to be healthy, you have to eat right. You have to, you have to be able to afford to eat right. In Nigeria now, that's an issue. Some people want to make a lot of money because they want good quality education for themselves or their children. And some people want to make a lot of money because they want to retire in style. But this one, I have to explain a little bit, right? Right. So let's quickly just do a quick explanation, because when I do trainings in corporate organizations like banks and the like, oftentimes I talk to people about, at some point you're not going to be able to work for as hard, but you're going to need to make money at the time. And people are like, my pension fund takes care of it. So that's okay. But let's try and understand what the pension fund really is, right? So imagine if you have a job, and I need you to communicate with me in the chat room, right? As much as you possibly can. Imagine if you have a job that gives you as much as 50,000 naira a month to put into your retirement plan. That you don't earn 50,000, by the way. You have as much as 50,000 based on what income you earn that goes into your retirement fund. In the civil service, that'd be about between level 11 to 13 or 14 thereabout, right? That would be 600,000 naira every year. But how many of us would agree with me that that's a decent job, right? How many of us agree that it's a pretty decent job? It might not be best job in the world, but it's a decent job. Now, if you are able to put this every single month and you're saving this every year to your retirement plan, let's assume you get a pension plan that gives you 10% guaranteed interest. It's more likely going to be 4%, not 10. But let's say you get 10%. Let's say you get to do this for, let's say, 20 years. And let's assume that you could get, or you'll definitely be able to get compounding interest. So if you put these three factors together, When you do retire 20 years time, you would have about 32.2 million in your retirement account. How many of us would love to have 32.2 million in our retirement account, right? If you would love to have this kind of money in your retirement account when you do retire, I want you to say yes. Or say me, whatever it is that you think is appropriate to say.
Me.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. Right? Now, and it's great to have this amount of money, right? But, you know, Robert Kiyosaki said that there's two sides to every story, right? There's the side that we believe, there's the side that we are told, rather, there's the side that we believe, and then there's the truth. And oftentimes, the truth is very, 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 very different from what the reality actually says. So let me give you an instance. In 20 years, when you do retire, you know, you could perhaps have this amount of money, all things being equal. But the question that most people haven't asked, and in fact, it's the question that they're hoping that you would never ask, is what would 32.2 million be worth in 20 years' time? Because if you understand what it would be worth, you would have a completely different perspective as to the value of it, right? Now, to be able to understand what it would be worth, we need to go back to like a year like 1985, right? A previous year. In 1985, that are old enough to know here, but in 1985, if my dad had 3,500, he could buy a brand new car. Of course, 3,500 wasn't back pocket change. It was a lot of money in 1985. In fact, for some people, it was their annual salary, like annual. I mean, you might find that difficult to believe, but some people earned about 300 or 250 naira a month in 1985, and it was a decent amount. So when dad had that money, he either had an amazing job or, you know, had a crazy saving culture. Imagine he's going to buy a car, and his friend says, no, put that money in a savings plan. You know what will happen in 20 years? He did that for 20 years. So he did that every single year. And he did everything. He got 10% guaranteed interest. He got 20 years of savings. He got compounded interest. The same factor that produced our 32.2 million. But when he's done, he would have 224,600, which is a lot coming from 35, but he gets that money in 2005. Now, 2005, 224,600 will not buy me a brand new car, will not buy me a fairly used car, will probably not buy me a useless car in 2005, right? And that's why, you know, financial experts talk about the fact that even though savings is a good habit, it's a very bad strategy because you're losing value faster than you're gaining numbers. And so I always recommend every time I do a class that, on financial intelligence is that it's better to save up for an investment than to save up as an investment. So if you're thinking about really retiring, you know, like the dream retirement, then you have to do a lot of work and work a little harder. And one of the things that we all get to do as we do all of that is that we start a business. And so this is the exact module one of the strategy factory. If you were in strategy factory, this is the first module that we would run. And the first module is really, because it's a business strategy workshop, we usually like to start out really asking, what is a business? So I'd like to take a few responses. Anybody, you know, I mean, by the way, your answer cannot be wrong, because if you're in business for at least as little as 6 months, you know what a business is. Fact, you know, I mean, it might be, your answer might be different from mine, but my answer is just my opinion. You know, what it is for you is what it is for you. So I'd like to start out. Who wants to, you can type it, you could talk. Busayo, do you want to say something? What do you think a business is? Whatever you say is correct, don't bother.
I'm trying to get my...
You're trying to get your what?
I'm trying to get my words together.
Oh, no problem. We can wait.
I'm trying to...
Anybody else? While she's getting my words together.
Is rendering a service to get money of exchange Beautiful. For something.
Fantastic. So rendering a service in exchange for money, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Web touch log, an ongoing business. So what's an ongoing business? So what's the business? Thank you, Busayo, for that. If you were in class now, I'll have sent you, I would have given you a chocolate because we give chocolates in class, you know. So a business is a main concern. Okay, would you like to shed a bit more light to that? What you mean by main concern? You know, that's very big English. You know, anybody else? I'm reading from the comment section, by the way. Anybody else wants to share what they see a business is? What is a business? Anybody else? For 1 billion naira.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I think business is a kind of going concern that
we can't really hear you. There's a like a background noise.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. It sounds better now.
I said it's kind of a going concern that one gets into with the aim of making profits.
Beautiful.
Of course, monetary profit as a reward.
Beautiful. So I think you and the Web Touch guy are on the same wavelength. So it says it's a going concern that you get involved in, and ultimately you want to make a profit. I'd like to take one more person, and then we can move on to the definition that we have here. What is a business? Anybody? You can say it, you can type it, doesn't matter.
Can I try?
Anybody else? Please, you don't have to try. Just tell us what it is. It's correct.
Oh, okay. By my own definition of business, I see it as anything that you do in exchange of money in form of buying and selling or rendering of services.
Beautiful. Anything that you do to exchange for money in form of buying and selling or rendering of services. That's an amazing definition. Great. And all of the definitions that we have shared are absolutely correct. However, I want to share one definition that I got from a book. I didn't even come up with the definition, right? So, you know, so many of us are even a lot more smarter than I am. This definition is from a book called The Personal MBA. It's a fantastic book. If you haven't seen the book, please look for it, try and go through it. The Personal MBA shares that a business does these 5 things, has these 5 attributes. Number 1, a business is a repeatable process that, number 1, creates and delivers something of value. 2, that other people want or need. They can either need it or they want it. 3, at a price they are willing to pay. 4, in a way that satisfies the customer's needs and expectations. And 5, so that the business brings in enough profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to continue operations. Very, 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 very important. These 5 key points. And so what we're going to do is to try and analyze these 5 key points so that some of us can look at our business and say, oh, by this measure, am I in the right business? Should I shut down the business that I'm in? Should I double down the business that I am? Because, you know, it doesn't matter how much strategy you have if you're not in the right business, right? Or your business is not, or you're not in the right industry, right? So the first thing, remember the first point here is that it creates and delivers something of value. So we want to analyze and say, first, how valuable is the thing that you're bringing to the market? And every time we come to the market, there's a value that we're bringing, and that value is oftentimes decided by, you know, a couple of factors, right? And so we want to talk about, you know, the viability of your business, of your idea or your business. So there are 4 things, there are a couple of things, but I'm going to identify 4 things that you can do, 4 questions you can ask yourself as you're working towards your business to be sure that this business is going to endure. The first question that you need to ask is, this business that I'm in, does it serve a huge expanding market, or is the market shrinking? A perfect example. A couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, more like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, it made a lot of sense to have a cyber cafe. Yeah. Right? Today, as we speak, even though more Nigerians are online, even though more people, even though the internet has become significantly integral to our lives, it makes absolutely no sense to have a cyber cafe now. Even in hotels where they have like a small cyber cafe, blah, 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 nobody goes there because everybody can access the internet by themselves. So if somebody comes to you now and says, I have a brilliant idea, I want to create a cyber cafe, you should just tell him to not bother. So there are businesses that, why? Because the market size for that industry is shrinking. So every market experiences something like this, right? At some point, the market is expanding and then it hits its peak. And at some point, the market starts to shrink. So for example, if you think about the biggest companies that started the personal computer revolution, whether it's Microsoft or HP or IBM, all of these three companies are out of PC business as of today. Microsoft is shifting from software to gaming. HP has moved from PC to cloud computing. IBM rather has moved from PC to cloud. Everybody is shifting. Why? Because the future of the world is a lot more mobile than PC. We're all going to use more mobile devices than we would ever use PC. So you want to ask yourself, right? The business that I'm in, am I in a space that has expansion potential, or am I in a space that is shrinking? Another obvious one might be, doing recharge card business. Now, recharge card business for a couple of years ago seemed like an amazing business, but as of today, almost 70 to 80% of the airtime purchase is done via your banking app. Most of us here cannot remember the last time that we went to the roadside and bought like a paper where you scratch or they give you like a paper, you type in airtime, Most of us don't even know if people do that business anymore, but people do. So you need to always ask yourself, right? Is the size of the industry that I'm serving, is it shrinking or is it expanding? The second is that this thing that I'm doing, can it be turned into a unique product? Why? Because if your product or service has no uniqueness, then you always have to compete on price, right? You need to create a business where people can move beyond wanting your category of product to wanting you particularly, right? So it's much like what the iPhone has done. People move beyond wanting a phone to wanting an iPhone. People move beyond wanting a car to wanting a Mercedes-Benz. People move beyond wanting a house to wanting to live in a specific area, right? As long as there's some uniqueness about you, either in your product, service, or in the way you deliver your product or service, then you have a business. If there is no uniqueness about you, then you are at disadvantage. You are at a huge disadvantage. You're like that lady who's selling stuff. Can you get my bill, please? Yeah, you're like that lady who's selling stuff on the street. I mean, in the street, and where somebody else can open right beside and just crash your entire business because she has more money and then she can choose to sell at a lower price. Third is this business that I am doing, right? Is it in its time? Because there's such a thing as timing in business. Why is this important? It's important because sometimes when you get into a business a little too early, it can be as detrimental as coming in too late. Why? Because when you come in too early, you carry an added responsibility of educating the market. And sometimes when you are the one that educates the market, you might run out of money when the market is educated. I'll give you a perfect example. Many of us now, we think about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all this social media side. But what we might not remember, some of us might, is the companies that educated us, like High Five, like MySpace, all those companies that, like AOL, companies that did a lot of work in educating us about the internet, but ran out of money at the time we got educated. Now, in class, we teach a particular strategy that you use. Sometimes you have to come in early, but if you're coming in early or too early, what do you do, right? So you need to ask yourself if, you know, it's in its time. And lastly, whether it gives you leverage. What does that mean? It means that as this business grows, does it help me? Does it require more or less of my personal time, right? So for example, if I'm a medical doctor, and I'm a surgeon, and I'm the only surgeon in my hospital, for example, that does any specific procedure, right? If 200 people come into, Tayo, please, I might have to mute you up. If 200 people come into my practice, guess what happens? I might be able to serve them, but by the time they hit 2,000, I can't, if I'm the only one that can do that procedure, right? And so what happens is that more success starts to deteriorate my health, right? So you need to figure out how to get out of that model. You might need to hire another person like yourself or train somebody like yourself, whatever it is, right? The second factor is to develop a product or service that other people want or that other people need. People have to have a desire for your product, whether it's something that they want or something that they need. Current, right? So question here is, how needed is whatever it is that you're offering? Why is that important? And we're not just talking about like whether it's needed or not. We're talking about whether you've created a need in the minds of people. So I'll give you a perfect example. If you think about the iPhone, right? It's typical, I mean, many of us might know this from experience. If you know anybody who uses an iPhone, right? They typically act like they've made it in life. How many of us have noticed that? You know? How many of us have noticed that the typical iPhone user walks around like, you know, like he has made it in life? Anybody? Anybody have seen that before? Right? I'd like you to respond, say yes, or you know, what have you. Right? I mean, they carry, and that feeling is engineered. It was particularly engineered in by Apple. Powerful feeling, engineered in by Apple. Why? Because when people feel that way, it creates a need for them to want to always buy the product, right? So you need to create a situation where people want or need your product, or at a price they are willing to pay, right? And this is not so much about whether your product is expensive or cheap. Really, what it's really about is whether you are talking to the right set of clients. That's what it's really about. Because the key here is there is not, in business, nothing is too expensive. No product is expensive. No product is cheap. It's just a function of who you're talking to. And as a business, one of the things that we teach is that you need to zero in on the type of clients that you're looking for. So I'll give you a perfect example. If I'm hungry, for example, and I want to eat, right? If I have 300 naira, I can eat. I'll go to some buka, I would eat for 300 naira and I'll be fine. If my budget was about 800 to 900 naira, I could eat the same one meal. I'll probably go to Chicken Republic, buy a full meal, I'll eat and I'll be fine. If my budget was maybe 6,000 to 8,000, guess what? I can eat the same one meal, probably go to Casper and Gambini's, maybe go to Rhapsody's, I'll have a decent meal. If I had a 20,000 naira budget or 25,000 naira budget, I could have dinner, right? I've come to Marriott, get the buffet for 25,000 naira, and I'll eat. If I had 300,000 naira for the same one meal, guess what? I can still eat. There's a restaurant in VI where a meal is about 350,000 naira. So the reality is that there's a product for people at different levels. But what happens is that some of us have our product designed for a 300,000 naira client, but we are talking to 20,000 naira people. Or we have our product designed for 20,000 naira clients, and we're trying so hard to talk to 300,000 naira people, right? Now, whether we're not advocating that you should raise your price and only talk to 300,000 naira people. No, we're advocating that you match your exact product to the type of clients you should be talking to, because that you're talking to 300,000 naira people or whatever doesn't mean you're going to be profitable. You know, Bugatti, Ferrari, they are owned by a company, by Volkswagen, who sells, you know, basic cars. That you are a luxury brand doesn't mean you're profitable. A lot of even Rolls-Royce was sold to BMW in 2008 because they weren't profitable. They were in serious deep shit, right? So it's very, very important for you to realize that being able to match your product or service to the right customer is very critical to your success. Why is it critical? Because it enables you to maximize your advertisement, your marketing budget, right? If I'm trying to find everybody and I put $1 million into advertising, I'm probably not going to I'm probably not going to get as much results as if I'm trying to find a specific set of people and I put the same $1 million in the market, right? If I decide to do an ad and target the whole of Lagos, I won't get as much results as if I targeted, let's say, Keja or VI or Ajegunle, whatever it is that I think my people are. I could target straight at that place and I could find the people that I'm looking for, right? Now, number 4 says, this your business must be done in a way that it satisfies the customer's needs and expectations. So question here is, are you, the easiest question, the easiest way I like us to analyze this is this. If you look at your business, take a look at your business, no matter what it is. And I noticed that, you know, one of us here is a pastor. No matter what you do, if every time somebody buys from you, the person is most likely a new client, then there's something wrong with your process. If you're not getting repeat customers or referred customers, it means that there's something wrong with your customer service, because what's happening is that when people are happy with your service and are satisfied, and maybe even beyond satisfied, are astonished with the quality of your product or service, guess what? They'll tell other people. You know, so some of us might need to do a bit more work in that area and make sure that we're adding significant amount of value to our people, such that they are referring us to their friends, their brothers, their sisters, and the like. And lastly, this is your business. Like the point that most of us has alluded to is that it should be profitable. It should make money, right? It should make money, you know, so that the business brings in enough profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to continue. So the question now is, how profitable is your business? And in trying to figure out how profitable your business is, there are a couple of things to look at. But I want to take a look at one that is, at the beginning, might seem unrelated, but it would be very, 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 very important. In fact, this might be the most important activity. The next 10 minutes might be the most important thing that you've probably done with regards to your business, maybe in a long time. And for some of us, it might be the most important thing that we would have done ever in our business, in our lives, in fact, you know. But I'd like to get your feedback, because wealth is not measured in numbers, it's measured in time. It's not how much money you have, it's how long the money can take you. If I have 100 million naira in my business, and my business takes me, and I burn through, let's say, 10 million naira a month, right? In 10 months, my business is going to need money. And so my business must be profitable. And so I want to do a quick activity. And that activity is going to help you find out how much burden you are on your business, especially if your business is your only source of income. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions after, but I want to get your feedback. I want to get your feedback that you're going to, the activity is very, very important, but most people don't finish it because, you know, somewhere along the line, as they're doing the activity, they develop like heart attack, stroke, all those kind of things. But if you finish this activity, it'll be the most important activity that you've done in a long time. It's about 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes, but I want to get feedback from us. I want you to go and get a notepad, you know, or paper and pen. And when you get your paper and get your pen, and you're going to do this activity, I want you to write ready in the chat room. Ready. If I see 2 or 3 people write ready, I'll go ahead. You know, paper, pencil, maybe you can use your notepad in your phone, right? but I want you to get ready, get something that you can jot something on, and I want you to come back and say to me that you're ready. So who's ready? Who's ready? Who has gotten something? Type it, because I'm going to, at this point in time, I'm going to need us to engage a lot more through the chat room. Who is ready? I'm waiting for you. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready? This activity is very, very critical. I need to be sure that at least one or two of us are going to do it. So who's ready? Who is ready? Okay, Infinite Hot 12 Eyes says he's ready. Who else? I'd like to get 2 more people who say they're ready, and then we'll kick off. It's a very simple activity, but a very critical one. Very critical one. Busaya is ready. Thank you so much, Busaya. Who else? One more person who says he or she is ready. Oh, beautiful. Great. So we have Web Touch Logic. We have DASEC Security. We have Pastor Chris. Pastor Charles, sorry. Great. So you have your notepad, you have your pen ready. I'm going to open the next slide, but don't write everything that I'm saying that you see on the slide. I'm going to try and describe. I want to try and find out how much you spend. So the first thing I want you to write is rent. Now, anything I write that you're not paying, it's just don't bother, right? So most of us here pay rent, whether for our house, our office, or both, right? I want you to write rent. Now, but rent is a little tricky, right? Your rent in Nigeria for most of us is usually annual. So I want you to divide that annual by 12, and that will give you what the monthly value is, right? It's the monthly value I want you to write in your notepad, not the annual value, right? Now, when you're done, I want you to write rent done in the chat room. So when I see at least 2 or 3 of us write rent done, I'll move on to the next one. Rent done. So I want you to take your rent if you want to do just your house, or you want to do your house and your office since you're paying for it. If you don't rent a place in your house or your office, just write rent done and let's move on, because if you're not spending the money, it means that it's not necessary. But beautiful. That's tech security. I said rent done. Who else? Beautiful. Who else? Who else? I'm waiting for 3 people. Busaya has written rent done. Who else? Churchill has written rent done. Great. So let's move on to the next one. You can still write rent done. The next is transportation, right? Most of us here have, Pastor Charles, I'd like you to write rent done so that we know exactly where you are, because some other people will join in much later. The next budget is transportation. So most of us here have a car, and you sort of, fuel it every week, and it could be like maybe 10,000, multiply that by 4. Whatever you fuel per week, multiply by 4. If you don't fuel per week, there's probably a daily budget. Multiply your daily budget by 30, right? So that we see how much you spend on transportation on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, sorry. And once you are finished with that, I want you to write TP done. So TP done will tell me that you've gotten to transportation. TP done. We're almost there. TP done, right? This is the reason why I say you should write rent done, not just done. But now we're writing TP done. 2 or 3 people get to TP done, and then we'll move on. Web touch, I'd like to assume that that's TP. Great. Churchill, I'd like to assume that that's TP. That's great. So let's move on to the next one. Great. So Infinix just got the rent done. Okay, great. The next is utilities. So under utilities, right? There are different factors on our utility. Most of us here have light bill. I want you to write what your light bill is for your office and your house, if you're the one paying both. Most of us here live in some estates or gated environments where we pay some form of estate bill, whether it's security they call it, or estate dues or service charge, whatever that thing is. Most of us here have some form of cable TV, whatever that is, cable bill. Most of us here have, we buy some form of fuel for our generator, right? Once you finish all of these things and whatever else you consider utility, I want you to write UC done. UC done. UC done. Right? So I'd like to see UC done from 2 or 3 people, and I know that we've moved on to the next one. UC done. Beautiful. Web touch logic. Pastor Charles has got into UC done. That's great. Anybody else? Anybody else? One more person and we'll move on to the next one. One more person. We'll move on. Okay, Busaya's gotten there. Beautiful. That's great. This is a fantastic class. The next is what we call feeding cost. So feeding cost is not food stuff in your house. So feeding cost is like, especially for those of us that don't work from home, you know, you live somewhere and you work somewhere else. So there's somewhere close to your office where you buy food from, like lunch and all. It's usually a small budget, but there's about 25 working days in a month. So whatever that budget is, times 25 equals what your feeding, bill is. If you work from home and you don't do that, just write 0 and then just write feeding FD done, right? But if you buy something from somewhere, just write it. So I'd like to see FD done from 2 or 3 of us, and then we'll move on to the next one. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Mr. Tayo, sorry. The network is really bad. Okay, I'd like to wait for maybe one more person to get the FD done, and then we move. Okay, great. So Busaya has gone in there. That's nice. Great. Next is now groceries. So groceries is now the big one, right? Is foodstuff and toiletries. If you have a family, children, husband, wife, whatever it is, it's usually a very, very, very big budget. This covers your foodstuff in the house, toiletries, provisions, the whole 9 yards. And it's usually a big budget for most of us. So when you're done, I want you to write GC done. That will tell me that you've gotten to groceries. GC done. So let's see, 2 or 3 people get to GC done and we move on. You notice that some people have stopped. Now, if you're one of those people that have stopped, you've given up, don't give up. Don't give up. Oh. So let's see who gets to GC done. Great. Beautiful class. Great. So let's move on to the next one. Next one is school fees. So school fees is a little tricky because if your children are not yet in the university, it means that you pay school fees 3 times a year. So there's term 1 plus term 2 plus term 3 equals the total, right? Then I want you to divide that total by 12 so that we can see how much is due every single month. Mr. Tayo, please, I have to mute you because we can't really hear you. So term 1, term 2, term 3 equals total divided by 12, because I want to see how much is due. I want you to see how much is due every month. So that's what you write down. And of course, you do that for each child because there's no buy one, get one free school yet, right? So of course, if your children are already out of school, that's great. If your children are not yet in school, that's great. Well, that's not too great because they're coming. And then that should also include school fees, as in like your personal development school fees, what you spend on yourself, in terms of development. And when you're done, I want you to write SF done. SF done tells me that you've gotten there. So let's get 2 or 3 people to get to that place. And then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so we have 2 people. Okay, great. Quite a number of us. That's beautiful. So next is personal expense. Personal expense is how much you spend on yourself. So it's usually a small amount, except if you go to party every weekend. Usually a small amount, maybe, little manicure, pedicure, head, hair stuff. How much you spend on yourself every single month. So when you finish that, I want you to write PE done, which means personal expense done. Right? PE done means personal expense, done. PE done. Beautiful web touch. Thank you. Anybody else? 2 or 3 more people. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Pastor Chris, Pastor Charles, sorry. I'm saying Pastor Chris. Oh, great. Okay, so next is childcare expense. Childcare expense is, how much you spend on your child that is not school fees, pocket money, diapers, if you didn't include it in the other one, and you write CCE done. CCE done. So that tells me that you've covered the cost of your child expense, childcare expense, right? So anybody got into childcare expense, CC, CCE? Okay, great. Churchill is there. Anybody else? We have just about 15 minutes. We're going to finish at 8:05 on the dot, but we're almost done. Oh, great. One more person, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next is communication. Communication is how much you spend on airtime and how much you spend on data. For some of us, it's quite a big budget now. So you write, when you finish, you write comms done, COMS done, communication, COMS done, right? Communication, airtime, data. You have to calculate it. What did you say to calculate when you say you cannot calculate? Childcare expense. You just estimate it. Look at it. Think about it. You'll probably be able to find a number that makes sense. Okay, comes down. Beautiful. Web touch logic is our star student today. Okay. Okay, quite a number of us. Beautiful. Beautiful. Great. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. Next is giving. So most of us have some form of a giving budget, whether you're giving to God, your family members, we sometimes we think it's like spontaneous, but if you really check the last 3 or 4 months, you'll see a pattern. So I want you to write it out. So I want you to write GV done when you're done with calculating what your giving budget is. GV done when you're done calculating what your giving budget is. When you're done calculating what your giving budget is. So I'm waiting for us, 2 or 3 more people, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, great. Omowale Motala is up to speed with us. Oh, beautiful. Quite a number of us. Pastor Charles is done. Okay, next is after giving is other expenses. So other expenses is like anything that I haven't mentioned. You have a nanny, you have a driver, you have all of the things that I haven't mentioned. And when you finish with other expenses, I want you to write all done. All done. So that tells me that you've gotten to the final one. Then I need you to add up every single thing. You don't have to write your final number. It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing for you. So when you write all done, I want you to add it all up. And I want you to tell me if you're shocked or not. Add it all up. Add it all up. When you finish adding it, I have 2 questions I'm going to ask you, just 2 questions I'm going to ask you, and then we'll close this meeting. Calculate it, add it all up. That's how much you spend in a month. Some of us, this might be the most shocking thing that we found out in the long term. So I'm waiting for you to finish calculating. When you finish calculating, I want you to write down your reaction. Anybody finish? Oh, we have plenty of money. Huh? Yeah, a lot of us are still calculating. Anybody? Yes, somebody wrote wow. Exactly. That's where we're going. You've not even gotten there yet. When you see the questions I'm going to ask you, it's probably going to be shocking, a lot more shocking. Anybody else? Kilo day. You don't deal with that thing. That's how much you spend every month. Anybody else? I'd like to take 2 or 3 more reactions, and then we'll kick off. Mr. Ayo wrote, what exactly? A lot of us might not see this because they don't show up every time. Some of them show up annually, some of them show up daily. So we just sort of wing it. But this time around, you're going to see exactly what it is, so that you can then concentrate your energy and build something sustainable, right? Right? One more reaction. Yes, it is quite revealing. Now, this is very, very, very important, right? Because the question I want to ask is now, right now, for those of us that have calculated this, right? The salary you pay yourself from your business, do you pay yourself this much from your business? Do you pay yourself this much? The amount of money that you wrote, do you pay yourself that as a salary? Yes or no? Just write yes or no. Can your business afford to pay you that amount of money that you just wrote down as a salary? Exactly. Now, if your business isn't paying you that as a salary, it means that you're a parasite to your business. To be honest, that's what it is. That's exactly what it means. So you need to do better. You need to build a bigger business, right? We can help you. We've helped 32 businesses reach over $1 billion a year in revenue. But the big question that we want to help you answer is this next one. You see that money that you wrote down? How big does your business need to get to be able to afford to pay 20 people that work for you that amount of money in salary? You see, because that amount of money is the amount of money that you're already spending, right? And the problem is that if you have anybody working for you, they see your lifestyle, they see what it's like. If you don't focus on building a business that can deliver that kind of lifestyle to them, guess what? They'll leave. They will work with you for as long as they possibly can, but they will go and start somewhere else, to start another business. In fact, isn't that the reason why some of us are starting our own business? Because we worked hard in somewhere and it wasn't looking like it was going to deliver the promise of the life that we want, right? This small move, this small conversation helped the business move to about 17.4 billion in revenue. And I'll share with you when you come to class. The thing is this: how many of us would love to grow a business, would love to build a business that would be able to pay that amount of money that we wrote down now, that we spend, that will be able to pay that amount of money in salary to at least 20 of our staff? How many of us would love to build such a business? I want you to write yes if you would love to build such a business. Build such a business. Exactly. And that's the key. Now, if you're interested in that, then our class is particularly important for you, right? At the Strategy Factory, it's a 10 to 12 hour class. Here at Marriott, it happens. The next one is on the 24th of June. But we take a deep dive into your business, provide the opportunity to help you learn. We run you through, I'm going to send you this slide into the group. We run you through close to 30 something, about 35 different business topics that is going to help your business expand. We've worked with a lot of businesses that have become billionaire businesses, and we can help you too. This class is, and it's also fun too, by the way. It's an amazing, amazing class, even if I say so myself, right? Now, it's 120,000 there, but for those of us on, because I mean, there's over 100 of us in the group. For those of us in this class now, you get a discount to 100,000 there if you pay within the next week, right? However, for those people that join the class, this is what they get. Of course, you're going to be at Marriott Hotel. It's the #1 hotel brand in the world. You're going to get the privilege of, tea break lunch, 2 tea breaks, by the way, drinks, all of that. Would also give you access to the Strategy Factory online course. We'll give you access to it online. We'll give you access to the alumni. By the way, the alumni is stupendous. We provide opportunity for people to do business with each other through the alumni. I mean, last month, we mediated a deal with a lady that runs a ticketing business, airline ticketing business. I connected her to one of our clients that sent 206 people on a vacation trip to Dubai. They went to do a conference in Dubai last month, and the deal was worth about 140 something million naira, just because she's in the alumni. So the connection, I mean, in terms of businesses that have been transacted within our alumni is in excess of billions. So joining the alumni group is massive. I mean, aside from the strategy and all of that, the connection that you get from the alumni group, and the connection that I can help you connect with people who are in the group is massive. You get a manual, and then everybody who attends the class gets one one-on-one session with me. In fact, let me do this, please, right? If you are in this class and you would like to join the class and take advantage of this discount, do us a favor, right? Just write your phone number, write your phone number in the chat room so that Vivian can note down your phone numbers, because those that don't write their phone numbers won't get access to this discount. Just help us write your phone number, because there's a lot of us in the group and we don't really know all the different people that are in the group that are here, because some of us are using our corporate names and the like. So I want you to type your phone number in the group, just in the chat room, rather, not in the Facebook group and in the WhatsApp group. In the chat room now, type your phone number and post it, so that, and those who type their phone number and post it will get a call from somebody from our team, and maybe even get a call from me. But those who join the class are going to get the opportunity to have a one-on-one meeting with me. Aside from the class, everybody who joins the class has a one-on-one meeting. It's one of the reasons why we keep our classes small, 25, 30 people maximum, so that everybody gets an opportunity to have a one-on-one meeting with me. And in that one-on-one meeting, we're going to dive a little deeper into strategy, dive a little deeper into, all the different things. And also that's where we connect. So I can, you might need something and we can connect you to somebody within the group and we can help your business expand. Thank you so much, Busayo. Thank you so much, Tayo, for dropping your numbers. If you can't make it to Lagos, some people are out of Lagos. We have a Zoom version that happens concurrently, so you can join the class live on Zoom. You get all the access to everything. But the people who are joining on Zoom, they get 2 one-on-one sessions with me. So they have one before the class, then the class happens, and then they have another one after the class, right? That's for people who can't. I mean, we've had people coming to the Strategy Factory in person and online from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, from Dubai. Dubai came in virtually. Ghana, Kenya came in person in 2020, I believe. Yes. Okay. So if you're ready, you could pay to that account, or just put your number. Just type your number in the group. Just type it, post it there, and somebody would contact you. Vivian would contact you tonight and send you the details and answer as much questions as you need, and then we can take things up from there. Okay, so but this discount really just lasts a week, so please take advantage of this. And for those of you that will commit within a week, I could possibly even offer to do like a phone call and understand your business and see how we can help. Great. So Vivian is going to be contacting you using this particular number, 09090008887. Most of us here know Vivian. She's chatted you up. She's called you. She's spoken with you. She's the admin on the group together with myself, of course, but she's the one that's been engaging with all of us. Just put your phone number in the group. I'm going to shut the group now, shut the meeting down now. So thank you so much. I'd like to take questions, 1 or 2 questions. But while the questions are going on, please write your number. For those of us that are ready to go, please write your number on the group and on the chat room rather, and then we can take it up from there. So any question? You could type it or you could say it, doesn't matter. Any question? Somebody wants to ask a question? Any question? Can anybody hear me? I just want to be sure that. Okay, the account number again is this. Yes. Thank you. I like that question. Any other question? Or is that the only question everybody needs? Any question? Okay, if you're targeting a set of clients that are not in your business, if you're targeting a set of clients that are not in your business location, so is it possible for you to unmute yourself and sort of ask this question? I'm trying to understand. So do you mean, like what are the strategies to target a set of clients that are not in your business location? For that, I would say, yeah, I mean, in fact, we live in 2022, right? And you don't have to, again, depends on what your business does particularly, but even with that, you don't have to target a client that only is in your business location. Even for us as consultants, as trainers, I have clients that are in Dubai, Qatar, Netherlands, the UK, US, Canada. I mean, I have clients from everywhere. So again, there are strategies that you can use to target those people. The most important thing, which is, in fact, we have a module in the strategy practice, I think it's module 8 or 7, called Market Entry and Expansion. So in that module, we'll help you dissect exactly who your customer is, the workbook module, where we're helping you to dissect, where they live, what they do, how much they earn, so you will have a full-blown documentation about the type of people that are buying your product or service. And then we will know exactly how you can reach them. Sometimes you might need to go to where they are. Sometimes you might need to do ads in their direction. Sometimes you might need to find an influencer of those people and then connect with those influencers and the like. But again, you don't have to be in the same location with your client. But I would say that's also depending on what you do. So if you have a restaurant, I'm not talking about like where you provide food service that people can buy from anywhere. You have an actual restaurant. People have to be in that space to eat if you want to just use the restaurant model and not a delivery model. But aside from that, almost everything else, you can find them and reach them wherever it is that they are. Oh, beautiful. A school, exactly. In fact, we have a couple of schools that we've worked with. Some of them, we have one of the schools that we've worked with that now generates about $1 billion a year now, right? So one thing that we can do when you come to class and we are able to go through the class, I mean, in fact, when you pay and I pick up the phone and call you before the class, we can even start the journey there, understanding your school, understanding how you can attract the best kind of people for your school. We've worked with some schools, and I would share with you some of the simplest strategies that you could use to almost triple your school's attendance between now and September, when the new session is going to start. Okay, good. I was disconnected in the process and just got connected during the question time. Is there any way I can get, yes, this class is recorded. I would send in the recorded version tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. Mr. Churchill, you'll get the recorded version tonight. I can take one more question because I said we would end.
Can I ask my question?
Oh, yes, please, you can.
Okay. What if I don't want to come to the class as a physical class, but I want to stay on Zoom and attend the class? Will I still pay the same amount?
Oh, yes, you will. Because the people that come to the class on Zoom, what we offer them is an additional meeting with me. You know, when people come to the class, they get one meeting with me, right? After the class. But for people who are coming on Zoom, you get 2 meetings with me. Now, let me help you understand how valuable that meeting is. I have a program, a coaching program, where I have just 2 meetings a month for 6 months with my clients, and they pay me 5 million naira. So one meeting with me, somewhere close to being valued at about 500 to 600,000 naira or more, you know, because yes, I'm serious. All right. So, I mean, we have 32 clients that do over $1 billion a year. And of those 32 clients, only 3 of them were doing $1 billion a year by the time they started working with us. I've literally seen some business. I've literally worked with some business grow from 0 to $1 billion naira revenue. I've seen that happen. And in some cases, we had a client 2019 going into 2020, they did 100 million naira. Started working with them in 2020. They did 3.6 billion in 2020, 17.4 billion in 2021. So I don't know what your business is, but I'm sure we can help. So whether you're coming virtually or you're coming in person, trust me, what people are paying for. You run a spa? Good. I have a client right now that runs a spa. You know, she now has 3 locations in Lagos, and she set up a partnership with Micure. So everywhere a Micure is, she has a location there. Yep. And there's even a partnership open with another mega organization that's even available, that if we get to talk, I can connect you with her and she can hook you up with it. It's a big organization. I didn't want to mention the name of the organization in the public space.
Yes, I understand.
Cool.
Okay, see what I can do.
Not a problem. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I have to leave now.
Thanks for the class.
Beautiful evening. I'll send the recorded version to the class pretty soon. Have a great night. Marriott Hotel is in Ikeja GRA, Lagos.
Thank you.
GRA. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.